South Carolina Congresswoman Nancy Mace. Congresswoman, pleasure to have you back on the show. Nice to see you.
Pleasure to see you, and thank you for having me on again.
Yeah, it's our pleasure. So first of all, the list was just updated. Right now, as many as possibly 12 members have been fined. And from what I'm hearing, it's basically, it starts with a $500 fine that's taken right out of your paycheck. After that, it's $2,500. I mean, pretty significant. So you haven't been fined for not wearing a mask on the floor, right?
I have not. I've got to save every dollar that I possibly can. The fines are very expensive. The magnetometer, if you don't go through the magnetometer even, it's like a $5,000 fine, what Nancy Pelosi's doing. And we've been told to follow the science, but the science doesn't agree with Nancy Pelosi, and she's in charge, she's in control, even though 75% of all members have been vaccinated. And even the Senate is unmasked.
Yeah, by the way, talk about that hypocrisy, because I don't think the people at home get that. So basically, if you walk onto the House floor, you've got to wear a mask. But if you walk onto the Senate floor, and not every U.S. senator is vaccinated, the number's in the 90s, but it's not everyone is vaccinated. Many have had the coronavirus and have immunity. They do not have to wear a mask, and they don't have to wear a mask in committee meetings either. I mean, which is totally ridiculous.
Right. And especially when you look at the science, even if you're unvaccinated, if you're outside, for instance, there's a less than 1% chance of transmitting COVID-19. And then beyond that, in our hearing committee rooms, we are several feet apart from each other, still masked up. And we've got to lead our country through a crisis. I just flew back to my hometown in South Carolina. Nobody's wearing a mask. We're vaccinated. We're acting like normal human beings and trying to move our country forward. And I wish Nancy Pelosi would as well.
What do you think Nancy Pelosi's problem is here? Do you think the Democrats, I mean, they were following the science according to them for the last 15 months, but all of a sudden the CDC and the president give them cover and they're not comfortable with lifting these mandates? What's going on here? Why is that?
I think it's about power and control. And even you hear Dr. Fauci every time he gets on, you can't believe him half the time because he's not telling the truth and he's not following the science and giving bad advice. And look what they've done to our children, forcing them out of schools for a year. They've lost an entire year. Thankfully, places like South Carolina, our governor, Henry McMaster, has allowed parents to make that decision for their kids, as opposed to the labor unions and others forcing something that's unconstitutional on us and our families.
You know, I know that you're a freshman member, but it must be fascinating to see the way that Congress works. The fact that Congress and the Senate largely are divided on an issue as simple as this. This issue should be so basic. The fact that everyone's divided on this issue, what does that tell the American people about where we are politically as a country?
Well, it's going to be hard to come together. I mean, we have these extremes on both sides. They're unwilling to work together. This should be very simple. And instead, the left, they're following socialism. Yesterday, the Squad held up a vote. They've got power over Nancy Pelosi. We had a very simple vote yesterday over militarizing the Capitol, which was a partisan vote. None of us want to do that. But they held it up over their hatred of Israel. And that's what they're dealing with. And Joe Biden, as a president, has done more damage in the first 100 days than I thought possible in 4 years. And we've got to support conservatives in the next 18 months so we can get back the majority in the House. That is the best way that we can turn this country around. Will be in 2022.
I'm with you, Congresswoman. Nice to have you back on the show. It was nice meeting you in Florida a few weeks ago. Look forward to seeing you again.
Anytime.